The DSC builds power amongst parents, youth, and organizers, as well as advocates and educators to transform their own communities, support alternatives to a culture of zero tolerance, punishment, criminalization, and the dismantling of public schools and fighting racism and all forms of oppression. They bring together members through direct action, organizing public policy advocacy, and leadership development to fight for the human right of every young person to a quality education to be treated with dignity. Joining me now and sharing more details on this matter, I am joined by youth leader at Sistas Brothas United and board member at Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition, Jade Entien. And then also we've got parent leader and equity and education advocate with Parent Action Committee, Rasheedah Harris. And ladies, thank you for joining us here on the Social Justice Forum. I guess I'll start first with you. And Jade, if you could take it away a little bit about this, because some of the work that you're doing is really aimed at reducing the school to prison pipeline. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Jade. And the school to prison pipeline is the ideal that students of color, as soon as they step foot through school, as soon as they go through that very first scanning machine, they are put on course to be arrested, to be sent to prison, and the rest of their lives as a Black person, as a person of color, is just to go to jail. The way teachers treat students, the way they criminalize students, the way they penalize students, is just another form of them, getting students on track to go to jail, preparing them for what a prison experience is like.
And so Rasheedah, talk to us about parents. I mean, you're very active in educating parents and letting them know about this school to prison pipeline, the work that you do connected to this.
Yes, Daren, that was awesome, Jade. Yeah, actually, we just want to continue to remind our parents and our community members that this is not what school is about, right? Our school should be safe spaces. And when we start to treat our students, when we start to criminalize them at such an early age and subject them to treatment at such an early age, they grow to be accustomed to this treatment. They accept it. They believe that this is what they deserve, and this is what their life will be like. And we know that it doesn't have to be that way. So we continue to empower parents and community members to work with students and school staff to understand that we have to change, and we have to start early and young in our schools to encourage our students, to teach them, and to build them up and not break them down.
Yeah. As a parent educator, give me a little bit about this, Rasheedah. When we talk about police in schools, right? It's been a long debated, issue about having police in schools. From your perspective, how do you view police in schools?
So we want to always differentiate police in schools and policing our children in schools. We have this false narrative that the school safety agents or the police in the schools keep our children safe and keep our schools safe. And that's just not the case. We need everyone in the school to support each other with respect and dignity. And the best of the school safety agents are the ones who do that, are the ones who see the humanity in our children and take the time to talk to them and get to know them and understand them and create this safe space or this relationship with our children. And those are who we love, right? But that's what we need overall, system-wide. We don't need a couple of good school safety agents. We need to completely dismantle the system and rebuild it in a way where we're offering these services and have staff on the premises who are loving our students, who are encouraging them and keeping them safe physically and mentally. The actual police in schools do not do that. And for folks who believe that we need it for our schools to be safe, just aren't sure of the statistics and quite honestly aren't talking to the children. There's a lot of adults we think we know and we think we understand how it should be. And the students are telling us, exactly what they're experiencing, what they're going through, how they feel, how they're being treated, and what they want and what they need. And that's who we need to listen to.
Yeah. Jay, give me an insider perspective from you. I mean, as a student, what are you hearing and what are you seeing as a student when it comes to police and schools that you would want us to know about?
Definitely the fact that police and schools are the same things as police on the outsides. Sure, they have a fancy title, school safety agents, but in reality, the way they treat students is the same way they would treat someone outside. Sure, they would be like, oh, hey, how are you, right? But then again, these are people who are trained to tackle students. They are trained to pin students to the wall and put them in handcuffs. They aren't trained to sit down and talk about issues. They're not there to resolve problems. Um, if they were there to resolve problems, that would be, arresting a student. And what I believe a lot of schools need are more guidance counselors, school therapists, social workers, people who are actually trained to talk to students and get inside the mind of a student and understand where a student is coming from. Um, having these resources available, having these people available could greatly reduce the amount of arrests and greatly reduce the amount of in-school issues that go on in most schools. And as a student, I believe that, yeah, mental health is very important because a lot of children are going through a lot of things, and that may lead to them doing other things that may cause harm to themselves or other people. But we can stop this if we have people there who will talk to students, people who are there to understand that students are not always okay and that they are stressed and that they need mental health support. So yeah, a lot of police have been, targeting young people of color. If I may share some statistics real quick. In 2020 and 2019, the Bronx had 26.9% of arrests and 38, pardon me, 0.4% of summons. And a lot of those students were Black girls and Latinx girls. Like, we need to like take care of our young people while they're in school. And as a young person, I can definitely say in school I feel a lot better if we had more guidance counselors rather than police who are just there to like stare you down or keep a hawk eye on you all the time.
I want to talk to Rasheedah again, and I'm going to ask you a little about, dealing, because having those police officers, there's an emotional component there. There's a psychological component there. And, I know part of the work that you do is also providing, not just in the case of police officers being in school, but just overall support for kids, for families who need that emotional support. Share with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually come to you from, PAC is a coalition, and another organization that we work with is the Bronx Healing Center Schools Working Group. And the Healing Center Schools Working Group came together recognizing the needs of really just approaching the schools in a healing center with a healing centered approach. Pulling together the staff, the parents, the students, the community members, and really getting trained on trauma informed and trauma responsive care. The importance of that, why I'm mentioning it, is because it can never just come from one avenue. We definitely need more school counselors, more school social workers, and restorative justice practice coaches in our schools. But we also need to address the trauma that the staff is experiencing, the parents, and assisting with that support along the lines that we can recognize and we can start to get tools to deal with, so we can assist our students. And that's where we need to focus. We need to focus on our children cannot learn, or they cannot focus if they are dealing with trauma, childhood trauma. And quite frankly, a lot of our schools cause a little more trauma and cause a little more harm than none. And so we have to stop that. We cannot allow that to continue. They're already dealing with trauma, and then they come to school and they're re-traumatized.
Right. Is the trauma underrated? I'll ask between yourself and Jade. Is the trauma underrated from the perspective that many people don't really recognize how many of our school children are currently going to school on a day-to-day basis with trauma in their heart and their mind?
Yes, go Jade.
My mistake, my apologies. Most definitely, yes. A lot of students may have issues that go on at home. They may have issues with other students, or they may have issues with society and the world in general, right? Like a lot of things are going on, especially during times of COVID. But before times of COVID, there were a lot of issues in the world prior. Um, I would also like to quickly bring up that there school is like a where students spend most of their time. Other than at home, school is like a place where students spend most of their time, majority of their days, hanging out with friends, learning. Sometimes they don't have food at home and they have to go to school for a meal. It's sad. It's really sad and upsetting that a lot of students have to. And I know a lot of students don't go to school just to be treated like a criminal. um and a lot of students don't have people to talk to, like they don't trust their parents, or they don't trust school officials because they're afraid of what might happen to them. And what they really need is someone to go downstairs. Well, my school therapist is downstairs. They need someone to go talk to, maybe if they're next door. If schools had therapists and social workers and people who are just there to talk to students, a lot of students will feel like life is a bit easier, because adulthood is just a bunch of hardships. um, and there's a lot of things that will go on in the future. But for now, students are still young and they still deserve to be treated, as children. Like, no, not as children, but as youths, as people who have a bright future ahead of them. If that future is behind bars, that's not a future that I would want to see for other students of color.
Rasheedah, dealing with COVID-19, a lot of us are still trying to navigate. What's it been like for you on the parent scope, trying to navigate with this, school and virtual classrooms and all that? Talk to us about that and what it's been like for you.
Yeah, not easy at all. We chose to stay 100% remote. So my daughter is just in front of the computer learning, and I am right there beside her, acting as her paraprofessional, just helping her every step of the way because she's struggling and it's not easy. And then as a parent leader, just talking to other parents and trying to offer that support and trying to help them navigate the system is just it's very difficult. It is some schools are doing better than others, but it's we really are struggling. Our communities are struggling, and we need to get away from this narrative of learning loss. Because right now, as Jay stated, as you just stated, with this pandemic, we need to ensure that we are okay mentally and physically. And that is the focus. That should be the focus of the DOE. That is the focus of us as parent leaders and advocates, to really fight for our schools, to truly take a step back and pull our students back in with love and grace and just patience, right? It can't be a quickie SEL. I'm not going to do a 5-minute check-in and then okay, back to work. We really need to take the time to allow the space for folks to share. And we got to destigmatize therapy, right? You say,
Right.
oh, she needs therapy. She's, something's wrong, or this kid is acting this way. And that, it's like we all need this space. We all need to learn how to talk. We all need to learn how to reflect. And this is just something that we need overall. And so the quicker we create these spaces and make it normal for everyone to be able to talk and share, reflect, and support each other, the better we'll be. We'll be on a better road. And that's where we need our money and our resources to go to when we think about reopening, like fully reopening in the fall, if that's what we're going to do.
Well, Rasheedah, Jade, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on the Social Justice Forums. Appreciate the conversation. Jade, you did wonderful. Rasheedah, you did wonderful too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daren. We appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.